Rain hammered the sidewalks of New York City while black luxury cars pulled one after another beneath the glowing entrance of the Orion Charity Gala. Valets rushed through puddles with umbrellas, photographers shouted celebrity names, and the golden lights from inside spilled across the wet street like a movie scene. Near the edge of the crowd stood Ethan Cole, trying not to draw attention to himself. His jacket was clean but worn at the sleeves, and rain had darkened the shoulders. Beside him, his 8-year-old daughter Lily clutched his hand with both of hers. "You okay?" Ethan asked softly. Lily nodded, though her eyes stayed fixed on the massive building. Ethan checked the folded invitation in his pocket again, almost as if he expected it to disappear. He still couldn't believe they had actually been invited. A local community center had selected Lily's school essay for recognition at the gala, and somehow their names had ended up on the guest list beside politicians, actors, and business leaders. A security guard near the entrance looked Ethan up and down before stopping him. "Delivery entrance is around the back," the guard said flatly. Ethan forced a polite smile. "We're here for the event." The guard hesitated until Ethan handed over the invitation. His expression changed immediately. "Right, sorry, sir." Ethan gave a small nod, used to the quick judgments people made the moment they saw his clothes or his tired face. Working long hours as a truck driver left little room for appearances. Most weeks he barely had enough energy to cook dinner before falling asleep on the couch. Inside, the ballroom looked unreal to Lily. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling like frozen waterfalls, and servers carried trays of sparkling drinks through crowds dressed in expensive suits and gowns. "Dad," Lily whispered, leaning closer. "I feel underdressed." Ethan crouched beside her. "You know what my mom used to say?" "What?" "The kindest people in the room are never the ones trying hardest to look important." That made her smile. Across the ballroom, applause suddenly erupted as Victoria Langford stepped onto the stage. The Billionaire CEO carried herself with calm confidence, dressed in black silk, diamonds glittering beneath the lights. The entire room watched her. But Lily's smile slowly disappeared. She gripped Ethan's sleeve tightly. "Dad," she whispered nervously, "that's the woman from the photograph." Ethan felt his chest tighten the moment Lily said it. "The photograph?" he asked quietly. Lily nodded and carefully opened the small paper bag she had been carrying since they left home. Inside was an old photograph with bent corners, protected between pieces of cardboard. Ethan had seen her look at it dozens of times over the past year, but she rarely talked about it. In the picture, a much younger Victoria Langford stood beside a smiling woman in a hospital room. Lily's mother. Ethan stared toward the stage again, struggling to understand. His late wife, Claire, had never mentioned knowing one of the richest women in America. Victoria continued speaking to the audience about innovation, leadership, and charitable giving. Her voice was calm and polished, practiced after years in front of cameras. But Lily kept staring at her. "That's really her," she whispered. Ethan lowered his voice. "Are you sure? She came to see Mom once, I remember, because Mom cried after she left." The words hit him harder than he expected. Claire had hidden many of her struggles during her illness, always pretending things were fine even when medical bills swallowed their savings. Ethan suddenly wondered how much she had carried alone. As applause filled the ballroom again, Victoria stepped down from the stage and moved through a crowd of investors and reporters. People surrounded her instantly. Ethan looked at Lily. "You want to talk to her?" Lily hesitated. "Maybe she won't remember us." Before Ethan could answer, one of the event organizers approached them. "Mr. Cole, your daughter's essay presentation will begin shortly." Lily looked nervous now. Public speaking terrified her, but she had worked for weeks on that essay, writing about her mother, resilience, and the quiet sacrifices parents make every day. "You'll do great," Ethan told her. As Lily walked toward the smaller presentation stage, Ethan noticed Victoria glance briefly in their direction. Her expression changed for only a second, but it was enough. Recognition. She excused herself from the group around her and began walking across the ballroom. Slowly, directly toward them, Ethan's pulse quickened. Around them, conversations softened as people noticed the billionaire approaching a tired truck driver standing alone near the back wall. Victoria stopped a few feet away. Her eyes moved from Ethan to the photograph still visible inside the paper bag. Then her composure cracked completely. "Where?" she asked quietly. "Did you get that picture?" Ethan carefully removed the photograph from the paper bag before handing it to her. "It belonged to my wife," he said. "Claire." For a moment, Victoria Langford didn't speak. The noise of the ballroom seemed distant now, drowned beneath the weight of memory crossing her face. "She kept this?" Victoria asked softly. Ethan nodded. "Lily found it after Claire passed away." Victoria looked down at the photograph again, her fingers trembling slightly. It was the first real emotion Ethan had seen from her all night. Not the controlled confidence from the stage, not the polished smile for cameras. Something human. "She worked with me years ago," Victoria finally said, "before my company became successful." Ethan frowned. Claire had never talked much about her old jobs. Victoria gave a faint, sad smile. "Actually, she saved me." That caught Ethan completely off guard. When everyone left, Victoria continued. "Claire stayed. My first company was collapsing. I was in debt, exhausted, ready to quit. One night I broke down in the hospital after my father's surgery, and your wife sat with me for hours even though she barely knew me." Across the room, applause erupted as Lily finished reading her essay on stage. But neither Ethan nor Victoria looked away from each other. "She told me something I never forgot," Victoria said quietly. "Success means nothing if you become unrecognizable to yourself while chasing it." Her eyes filled with tears she clearly wasn't used to showing. "I promised I would help her someday. But after my company exploded, life moved fast. We lost contact. By the time I tried finding her again..." She stopped speaking for a second. It was too late. Ethan swallowed hard. For years he had believed Claire faced her hardest days almost entirely alone. Maybe she hadn't. Victoria looked toward Lily, who now stood nervously near the stage as people clapped politely. "That little girl," Victoria whispered, "sounds exactly like her mother." Then she turned back to Ethan. "Stay quiet," he suddenly told her gently, as reporters nearby started noticing the scene. "Follow me." Confused, Victoria followed Ethan through the side hallway toward Lily. When Lily saw them together, her nervous expression faded into a smile. And for the first time in many years, Victoria Langford looked less like a billionaire, and more like someone finally remembering who she used to be.